Today is a rest day for the players in the London Chess Classic. I was thinking about doing a game from the Asian Chess Championship, but this particular game caught my attention. It's a game played between 12-year-old Indian prodigy Sreeshwan Maralakshikari and Vassily Ivanchuk from the Sunway Sitges International Chess Festival. So Sreeshwan is only rated at 2244, while Ivanchuk is rated at 2717. So there is quite a massive rating gap. Sreeshwan had white in this game and he played d4. So here Ivanchuk goes for the Benoni defense, which has a very sharp reputation. So here black went g6, preparing to fianchetto the bishop. Sreeshwan played f4, taking more space in the center. Bishop g7, bishop b5 from white, just going for rapid development. So here Ivanchuk plays knight f to d7. So you might be thinking, why not the other knight to b7? Because here white has to move e5. This threatens the knight, also preparing to go e6 to attack the pinned knight. So if that is taken, white takes back with an attack on the knight, so knight to h5. Now white goes e6, preparing to take. Queen h4 would be the most challenging try in this position. But if white plays this correctly, he will be better. So here after bishop b5 check, knight f d7, just so that this bishop watches over e5. White goes knight to f3, a normal developing move, and Ivanchuk plays a6, kicking the bishop back, and b5, gaining more space on the queen side. So both sides castled. King h1 prophylactic move, rook to e8, looking at this pawn. It's always nice to put the rook on an open file. So here white goes a3, that preempts b4. Ivanchuk played c4, so bishop back to c2. Knight to c5, pressuring e4, also making room for the other knight to come into the game. So the knight on c5 could potentially jump into one of these squares as well. So in this position, previously f5 was the most played move. But here Sreeshwan plays knight to d4, and this is the novelty in the position. So white simply wants to support f5 with his knight and his rook. So knight to c6 could also become a resource for white if black goes knight to d7. So in this position, Ivanchuk played bishop to g4. So that was taken, and now bishop takes d4. The queen no longer defends the knight. So in this position, f5 played. Another interesting idea is for white to go e5, sacrificing a pawn. But this opens up the bishop. And here f5. So white definitely has some pressure against the black king. But f5 played in this position. We have knight b to d7. So now looking at this square, since the pawn has advanced. So we have f takes g6. F takes g6 played. So here if h takes g6, Ivanchuk didn't play this because here white goes e5, opening up the bishop on g6. The queen is also threatening the bishop on d4, so here if black tries to save the bishop, and then white has rook takes f7. So here bishop g5 check, and black will soon get mated in this position. So here after f takes g6 played, so this doesn't allow white the option of rook takes f7. And here e5 played to open up the bishop, also attacking black's bishop. This looks very dangerous here, and black has to get this position correct, or things could go south for him. So here the only good move for black, which actually gives him the advantage, is to play bishop takes c3. If that is taken, then black is simply going to take on e5, attacking the queen, also covering this very important g6 square. So the most challenging try for white is to go bishop takes g6. But here after knight takes e5, this attacks the queen and the bishop on g6. So if white wants to give discovered checks, it has to be a double check. Otherwise, the black knight would simply take the queen. So here, white can go bishop f7 or bishop h7. So if bishop f7, then you can hide the king on h8, queen h5, and here you can take on f7. So if rook takes f7, there's rook e1 mate. And if queen takes f7, then you bring the bishop back to g7 and you consolidate the position. So here, if b takes c3, then rook a7 defending along the 7th rank, also protecting the knight. Note that this isn't possible again because of rook to e1 mate. So going back to the position before bishop f7 check, so the other possibility is to play bishop takes h7, and this looks more dangerous because the king doesn't have anywhere to hide behind the pawns. So here, looks very dangerous after rook f5. But here rook to e7, preparing to shield the king. And also this knight does a very good job of covering the key squares around the king. So bishop takes c3 is the only move which saves Ivanchuk and gives him the advantage. But here he played bishop takes e5. So here black kind of needed the knight to be on e5. Because now white's attack becomes very direct. Bishop takes g6. With the knight on e5, this would be covered. But now things start to go bad for Ivanchuk. Bishop g7 trying to block. So here white still has to be quite precise. So if he plays the very natural bishop h6, which makes sense just trying to attack the pinned piece, but here queen to e7 nullifies white's attack. So this rook a to e1 can be met with knight to e5. So here if white takes, queen takes g7 and white's attack slips away. So here after bishop g7, queen f7 check played, not allowing black any time to set up defenses. King h8, queen h5 check, king g8, and here bishop to g5. Bringing another piece in with tempo on the queen, but more importantly, cutting the queen off the defense of this h4 square. So now the maneuver rook f4 and rook to h4 is going to be devastating. So queen to c8 from Ivanchuk, but here queen f7 check, king h8 and rook to f4. And it was in this position that Ivanchuk resigned the game. White has rook h4 coming, and black simply has no defense. A stunning victory for the young Indian prodigy, winning in just 26 moves against a very strong player. But you have to feel a bit sorry for Ivanchuk because he kind of self-destructed there with the move bishop takes e5. But nevertheless, very nice game from the youngster. So as usual, if you enjoyed the videos, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and see you soon.